All right, how's it going, everyone? We're going to get started with our webinar. About to share my screen. Cool. Amazing. We're going to get started. I'm sure a lot of you have sent briefs to creators and they have not followed them. And we found that personalizing briefs can help a lot. If that's happened to you, let us know in the chat. We're going to have a great workflow. It'll help fix that and automate it with AI. It's going to be a lot of fun and productive, and we'll have some good lessons along the way. I'm Paul, CEO, co-founder of Archive. We're an AI creator marketing platform that helps brands like L'Oreal, DoorDash, Verst, and thousands more capture all mentions across short-form video platforms. We also help brands use AI to find creators in seconds and measure the impact of their programs. A lot of brands here that are working with creators. And so if you're working with creators and briefing creators, this is going to be a really helpful workflow for you. What I found when I was running campaigns is that I would take literally hours to create a brief and then it would go stale for the next campaign. It would be so much work to get the next brief and the next brief and the next brief. So I'm going to use a real example with a brand that I started before called Ketone IQ. We're going to use AI to create a brief for a campaign launch. We're going to use tools like our creator skills. We're going to use tools like Claude Code, Claude Cowork to make that easy. And hopefully this will be a really helpful workflow for everyone. So let's get started. The run through that we're going to do initially is going to be getting brand context together. When we're using AI, if you're starting a brief, if you're starting anything from scratch without good context, it's going to be very generic and you're going to have to do a lot of work after the fact. So I'll show you about how to create brand context and why it's so important. Then we'll use Claude Cowork to build the briefs in Notion, which is a tool that'll make it really easy for all of us to collaborate and have our teams help as well. We'll then get really great trends data to inject into our brief so that it's relevant for creators as well. And then I'll show you how to personalize that in parallel using subagents so that you can create dedicated briefs for every creator super, super easily. All right, let's get started. I will show you what I mean by brand context. So one of the things, and by the way, feel free to throw in some questions in the chat. I'll take a look at it. If there's any clarifications, if you guys want some additional info, just throw the questions in there. I've got it pulled up on my screen right here. Here's an example brand context doc. This is really important because for every single creator marketing project or deliverable, I need to feed AI context about my brand, my campaign, my selling points, my products, all of that. And instead of doing that every single time, I have this doc here. This is just formatted nicely for the slide, but it's a markdown plain text file, super simple. As you can see, we've got Ketone IQ. We talk about our hero products. We talk about our positioning, which is really important for everything. Notes on the target consumer, our creator program, type of content I want. So not too much wellness influencers, much more athletic focused, and some notes on the brand voice and all of that. Talking about competitors, all of that. And it's really, really important that we keep track of this across future campaigns so that we don't start from scratch. If you've used our creator marketing skills before, and Sig, if you drop the skills in chat as well, there's a workflow that'll interview you to go put together a doc like this. It's super effective. It'll take you 10 minutes, but it's going to be a great starting point to get all of that context together. Awesome. Great. And if there's one thing to remember is invest in making good context docs that you can pass around to your prompts. All right, let's get started. We're going to pull up our AI tool of choice for today. We're going to use Claude. And we're actually going to use Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork is one of the 3 different ways of using Claude. There's Claude Chat, Claude Code, and Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork is the high-powered version of Claude Chat, and it's really great. The first thing I'm going to do is run my campaign brief generator skill, campaign brief generator, and I've got some notes here for what I want. If I go right here and paste it right here, As you can see, we've got some goals, platforms, etc., and we're going to use the skill to work on that. Now, as this is running, I'll explain a couple of things. First of all, this is working in Claude Cowork. One of the cool things about Claude Cowork is that it has access to a folder on my computer, which means that it doesn't have to reset every time. We can build up on it. So I've already put in my brand context here. This is the same file that we looked at earlier. It's got it. So now every piece of work that I do in this folder or this conversation, I create multiple conversations in this folder. It'll have access to all of this and get better over time. So that's a really helpful tip. If you guys are working on things, you can use these projects with Claude Cowork, and they've got access to these skills right here. Cool. What happened here was that my goal here is to start creating this brief, right? So we've got the brand context doc that has information about my campaign, and I'm trying to make a brief for this Target launch. We're launching Ketone IQ at Target, big box national spring. We did this a long time ago, but we're just redoing it for the demo. And my goal is going to be awareness, paid ads, all of that good stuff. So I'm giving that context. I'm passing in the brand context, and I'm using one of our skills. So we've released a lot of skills for all of you to use. They're free. You can check them out. And I'll talk a little bit about how they work. So what's a skill? A skill, we talked about on the last webinar, but really a skill is a prompt that you can combine with another prompts or within conversations. And this tells the AI to go run these instructions. When you think of prompt engineering, it's writing things inside of prompt that'll make AI do what you want it to do. And skills are really reusable components for these. This is an example of a skill. As you can see, there's a couple of things that are really helpful. It's got inputs. So as you can see, if we're going to create a campaign brief, we're going to define in the skill what's important to go create the campaign brief. The name of the campaign, the goal, the platforms, video length, etc. So inputs are really important. The second thing that's also very important in a skill, if we're creating a prompt, is going to be the outputs. Let's go back down, and the output here, I'm going to scroll. You can see there's a very clear structure of the output format. And so this tells AI what I'm expecting. If I don't give AI a clear sense of what my output should be, it might drift. It might not give me what I want. We've got some references. We've got some guidelines, a step-by-step process for how to do it. We've got quality checks at the end to make sure that it's going to be skimmable in 90 seconds, to make sure the content direction is good to go. And so we've got all these things baked into the skill. That means that whenever I'm creating a new brief, it's all baked into the skill, and I can reuse these noted insights over and over again. So let's go back to Claude and see what it came up with. All right, we can check out the brief right here. So one of the cool things about using Claude Cowork is that it'll actually create the files on my computer. So this is an example of my folder. We can see right here, the folder with all this information. It's just a bunch of files. It's not that scary. We've got the brand context doc, and now we've got this brief that we can see right here. We can preview it. So this is cool. It looks good. Exactly what I wanted. Nice, good to go. We've got non-negotiables, all of that good stuff. What you'd expect in a nice brief. This is going to be a lot better than if you just post in Gemini or Claude, make me a brief for an influencer, because we've got all of these best practices built in, and we've got the skill that's really good to go. Sarah, I'll answer your question in just a second. Next thing is, it's kind of not that great to work with my team in Claude. If Sigi wants some comments or whatnot, it's just not that great. So you can actually connect Claude with a bunch of your tools. We use Notion heavily. So I will ask Claude to go put this in Notion. Boom. I'm sending that over. I've got Notion connected with what's called an MCP. Super easy to create that integration. And it's actually going to take this file and put it in a collaborative place. It's going to go in Notion. So as you can see, it's now creating these pages in Notion. Meanwhile, Sarah asks, can these skills prompts be leveraged with other AI models or platforms like Microsoft Copilot? Yes, they work great in ChatGPT. They work great in Codex. And I believe that Microsoft has started adopting skills. But the good news is that skills is a little bit of a fancy way of saying snippet. Skills are really snippets because the way AI works is you just put a bunch of text and then it generates the next message. And so even if your AI tool of choice doesn't support skills, all you would have to do is go back right here and copy it and paste it in. And then you can put your stuff after. That's really what's happening under the hood with a little bit of polish. So you don't have to see all this giant text. That's really what's happening. And so you could go use that in Copilot or in Gemini or whatever you want and just paste that in. Or if you have a internal AI that you're using, you could literally just go paste that in and it would work pretty much just as good. All right, let's see. So I've got to give permissions for Notion real quick. Oh, there we go. And now it's going to go create that page on Notion. This is actually really helpful because Notion's going to be a much better system of record for Claude than Claude Code because my team can use it. We can save references. And over time, all of your documents can live in Notion and you can search for that. I'm going to open up this doc in Notion. Let me go to the internet and open it right here. And we're going to see what it looks like. So I've got this amazing brief and it's really good. And I can now share it with my team. Maybe I have a manager review it, some other people review it. And I'm looking at this content right here. And there's too many angles. This is too many. So I'm just going to leave a comment in here. I'm going to use dictation. I love using Super Whisper. There are many other tools here. Hey, this is way too crazy. Let's just focus on the target grab and pre-workout. We don't need that many angles. So I'm dictating super fast. Let's see, what else do we like? Deliverables. Let's ask people to do a story post and mention they need to do a link in bio as well for 7 days after posting. Cool. So you can leave some feedback right here. And it's very collaborative. So this is kind of cool because now I've actually had AI work with me just how someone else on the team would have worked with me. AI creates the brief. It's in Notion. I can leave some comments. My other team can leave some comments. And then we can go right back in Claude and ask it to go answer the comments. So there we go. Let's go back to Claude. And we can go answer some comments. So you can use this for anything, by the way, not just briefs. If you have someone that left a ton of comments in a meeting and you want to handle them, you can go bring the comments in, pull a Notion doc, workshop with AI a little bit, have it do some research, and then go ship the comments. And you could dictate over the comments, answer them in batches. It's super efficient. That's a really great hack. Just now AI is actually collaborating with the way that we're working. It's super, super helpful. Cool. So it's asking for permissions. Honestly, there's a little glitch here that's not letting me, but I would encourage people to give it all permissions. Let AI run loose. It'll save you a lot of time. Great. So as you can see, it actually found 2 comments. It's trimming the angles and it's doing some work, and it's going to update the Notion doc. And in a few seconds, it should be good to go. It's updating the page. There we go. Both comments are handled. Let's go check it out. Back on here. Cool. We've got our IG story in here. Include a link in bio. Awesome. And then we've got 2 angles here. Good to go. All right. Super happy. So as you can see, we can actually use AI now to be a collaborator and leave comments on stuff, address the comments. Super helpful. Now, we've got this brief. I think it's all right. But one of the things that we've seen work really well with influencers and briefing influencers is going to be injecting trends from this week. If we're going to work with a creator that's going to talk about something, then we want to personalize the brief based on what's going on this week. Social's changing. We've got new hooks, new trends, new things talked about. One of the cool parts of Archive is that you can use any data source, but I'll show you this as an example. For Ketone IQ, I pulled in a bunch of notes for a deep research report. So I'll put it up right here. What I did was analyze the last 1,400 posts that tagged Ketone IQ, this brand, and we're learning what people are talking about, the sentiment, the good, the bad. And so we can see the key themes. People are, the product works really well, but people complain about the taste. So that's there. We've got some quotes. They all taste like you're drinking gasoline. Well, it doesn't taste the best, but it works really good. We can see actionable next steps. All of that is synthesized from watching 1,500 videos, and we have a really clear sense of what's working or what to work on. Now, the cool thing about these is that not only are these reports here, but you can actually get the markdown. So I'm going to copy the markdown right here. And because it's in Markdown, it's in a really nicely organized format that you can go paste into any LLM. So you can go now bring that back to your Claude Code, bring that back to your Gemini, bring that back to your Copilot, and do whatever you want with the analysis. And if anybody here wants me to generate one of these reports for their brand, just drop your email in the chat or email me, paul@archive.com, and I'll happily go send you guys one. And you guys can get access to that data to update your briefs as well. All right, so let's go update our brief with some of these new trends. We're going to go back to Claude Code, and I'm going to literally just paste my trends report right here. So as you can see, if you guys have seen these like pounds before titles, it's a sign that it's in Markdown. It's just like a format that AI understands. Awesome. There you go. And now it's going to be working through this. The whole point of this is to take dynamic data that we've got going on from Instagram or from whatever source that we want and use that to update our brief. I feel like the brief we created right here together is quite solid, but I want to personalize it a little bit. Great. So now it's asking me some follow-up questions. We can go through it really quickly. The biggest signal is taste complaints, but the flavors are at retail landing well. Let's honestly just lean into taste. I think it doesn't taste great, but it works. And then we're really going to focus on endurance athletes, skepticism about butane diol. Let's ignore that. That's above my pay grade. And so one of the great things about working with AI is, and a quick tip is you can ask it to prompt and ask you follow-up questions. That way it can get a little bit more from your brain. You really want to find ways to inject more context into AI. The first way we did this was the brand context. And the way I created that was with an interview where there was a Q&A that extracted all the information about the brand. The second thing we did was Notion comments, right? The third thing we did now is we've got this Q&A so I can give you even more information. And then we've also got fresh data from all of the UGC that we got tagged in that can be super helpful. All right, we're now updating Notion to match. Let's see what that looks like in just a second. All right, it's updated. Let's check it out. Cool. So we've got this honest take. Exactly what we want. Hopefully that works well. And it's made a couple of other updates to do that. So we've now got a brief that is dynamically updated based on recent sentiment analysis data from the last couple of weeks. And a great workflow would be to update this every week so that your creators are constantly addressing the conversation that's happening right now. Great. Let's now personalize this on the creator perspective. When we've got creators and they see these generic briefs, there's a lot of information. It can be hard for them to follow the briefs. We've all seen that. And what we've found is that when you personalize the brief for the creator, you can get better performance and you can get better adherence. I'm going to go back to Claude Code now, Claude Cowork, and paste this message right here. I'll explain it real quick once I ship it. So we're going to do the creator concept generator skill. So this is another skill that we've shipped that will personalize the content based on a creator. And as you can see, I want to create 3 personalized briefs in Notions, 1 per creator. I'm going to ship it so it works, and then I'll explain it. There's a couple of important things in here. So we're going to use Notion again because it's a great source of truth. We can share the Notion links to people. and they're going to be able to have access to it. So that's super easy. The second thing is that we're spinning up sub agents per creators, and that's going to be a great way to speed up the process. As you can see, we're now doing work in parallel. Instead of having one conversation, because AI can take some time now when we're having to do all kinds of work. If we have sub agents, we can parallelize and do 3 things at once. So it's going to speed things up. And we've got these creators. You could find different ways of putting their information. I just have a summary, but I want to personalize it for these 3. And as you can see right here, it's going to go create the new pages in Markdown, do that whole thing. But the cool thing is that it's doing 3 at a time. I believe Claude has a limit of up to 10 sub agents. And again, doing it one at a time is going to be super slow, but we're doing it here. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but faster than me doing it. Hope mentioned that asked if there's a recording of the webinar where we went over creating Claude subagent such skills. We do have one. Sigi, can you drop that in the chat? We have a recording, I believe, on YouTube where we talked about that last week. But if you have any more questions, they're happy to chat about it. Okay, great. So we now have 3 right here that I'm going to go open. I need to get these links and open them manually because I have the Notion desktop app. There we go. Let's see what these look like. Cool. So now this is a really, really specific campaign for that one creator. And it took me just a couple of minutes to create it. We've got the hooks that we want that could work well for Des Linden. We've got the honest take version concept, and we've got the non-negotiables, a nice slimmed down version. So you can see this is a really great way to personalize the content for each creator. And this is really worth it because you can now not just have a generic brief for everyone with 5 different concepts, but you can pre-do the work of saying, hey, these 3 creators are going to work really well with these ones. You can personalize it for this one, personalize it for that one. And we found that when brands are doing this for creators are often writing back in saying, hey, this has been super helpful. This gave me some great ideas. I really like knowing that my content now is based on what you all have learned from your products and with a conversation. They feel more equipped to do better work. So we're doing all of this extra work, but we're now doing it with AI, so it's a lot faster. And it's helpful for creators as well. And you can see, once you have these prompts, you can save them with skills, and it really doesn't take us too much time. Cool. The last thing that is going to be helpful that I want to show you, this is going to be the last part of the webinar in terms of using AI, then we'll open it up for questions, is going to be creating in a different format. A lot of times we're texting creators, WhatsApping creators, emailing creators. Maybe we want to send them a Notion link right here, which again, they can comment on it. You can go answer it back with AI. But if we want something a little bit more mobile friendly, we can go back here and generate a mobile friendly PDF of this brief. AI is really good at designing stuff now. So we'll go ship that and get that going. And you could generate this again with sub agents for the different ones. Cool. So quick recap on some of the key learnings. Number 1, the single most important thing if you want to be efficient with AI. We've got a question from Vanessa. The single most important thing is to think about your context files. If you are starting from scratch every single time, you're just going to cap your output. And that's not going to be great because it's going to be so much work for you to do a great brief every single time because you're not going to have time to dump the brand context and what's worked, what's not worked every time. But if you have this single brand context file that you can make your own, you can use these skills to do, then every single time you do anything regarding to creative marketing, you just start off on a way better foot. And maybe you've gotten feedback from a manager that's like, hey, this is AI slop. This doesn't feel personalized to the brand. Really just injecting the right amount of context will make a massive, massive difference there. The second thing is using subagents. I love using subagents. I do them all the time. This is a new feature that's rolling out across more surfaces. Codex now has subagents. Claude recently added subagents in Cowork. They've had it in Claude Code for some time. These can be really good for doing different things. So instead of asking one thing back at the agent, I'll be like, hey, spin up 5 subagents, one for research, one for this, one for that, one for this. And so that's what that could look like. So those are the key things. And then for all of the work that you're doing over and over again, this is PDF is taking a little while, but should be done soon. The last thing is thinking about skills. You can use some of our skills, but I also encourage you all to build your own skills. It's not that scary. And you can literally ask AI to go write the skill for you. So, for example, hey, can you create a skill to be able to personalize briefs for creators in one shot next time? You could just ping that over and it'll go do that. So we've now got this PDF that we could share. I don't like it. This is terrible, actually. This is absolutely horrible. I want a one pager that's mobile friendly that I can share with creators. There's way too much stuff in there. Just do it for, only do it for Des Linden. That's it. I just need one for her or him. I'm not sure, actually. So again, gotta give feedback with AI. But that would be a great example of building a skill. If I build a skill, it'll have my context. So the next PDF will be really good. All right, cool. We've got some questions. I'll go through them. Actually, one quick note before questions, and then I'll jump through them. So we went through brand context, went through using Notion and answering comments. We went through trend data and personalizing the briefs to creators. We have a couple of options for the next webinar we want to do. So I want to get some quick poll in the chat. One of the ideas we had was helping cleaning up campaign reports and getting the right data in there from different sources. Another one would be more focused on archive AI features. How are brands like Verst, L'Oreal, DoorDash using AI with archive to speed up tagging, reporting, finding creators? And another one would be a collaboration with Jillian, who oversees influencer marketing at Momofuku, who's actually pretty AI cracked. So learning from her about how she's using AI, whether it's archive or other tools. So we've got 3 options that we're thinking about. If there's any that resonate, throw your feedback in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. And again, since we're going into questions, quick note on archive. We're an AI platform that helps capture every mention across short form video platforms. We also have really great tools to help with reporting. We have great tools for creator search with AI, measurement, and all of that. If you guys would like to learn more, head over to archive.com/demo. Here's a QR code that you guys can use, and we'll put the link in there. But we're going to go right into questions right now. All right. So Mark Ham asked regarding context, doesn't it go back to old convos and pick up from there? Not necessarily. This happens when you're using, let me go back to the different versions of Claude Code. So if you look at Claude right now, this is my desktop app. There's 3 versions. There's chat, Cowork, and code. If you go to Claude.ai, you'll only see chat and code. Cowork is something on your computer. And I really like it because if I go make a new task here, you can see I have my different folders. So I've got my exec grader, my one-on-ones, et cetera, et cetera. And each folder will have dedicated context within there that doesn't pollute everything else. So if I do a new chat within the demo, hello, right? This is a new conversation that's just within the demo folder that I created for this webinar. And we've got all of the files right here. And you can see I've got specific instructions just for this webinar demo. So I was like, hey, this is a live demo, so be very concise, right? This isn't going to go pollute all of my other projects. So that's how I would handle that, Mark, if you have different things there. Similar question, Sarah, do you have best practice for those working at agencies managing multiple brands when it comes to context folders? Yes, literally have one project or folder per brand. So just like that, you would go here, you'd go to new task. Here you can create a new project, right? And then what you could do, Sarah, is you could have skills that you can reuse across different projects. So you'd have brand one context in this folder, brand two context in that folder, and then you could write skills for your end of month recaps or end of week recaps. Or if you have templates for outreach, that could be a skill. And now when you go to any project, you can go load up your skills in here. If we go back to, let's go back to these conversations. This might be your customer one or brand one project, but your skills can be cross Claude. And so we've got our sales skills in here, our product marketing skills in here. You can set up skills in here so that you can have them across all of your projects. So that way you can have really nice separation between different things. All right. Vanessa asks, can you ask Claude to take a look at creators' TikTok profile and optimize according to their profile, how it looks today, and get more updated info rather than the description you give it? So Vanessa, the way I would do it is there are a bunch of tools like Bright Data. I'm blanking on what's one we've used? API, Rapid API. Okay, Vanessa, if you check out Rapid API, there's a bunch of APIs there that let you get fresh data from Instagram or TikTok. And so you could build a skill with one of those APIs to get the latest data from Instagram, from TikTok on their profile. And then with Claude Cowork, you could build a script to go make an API call to those things. And you could later on save that as a skill. So that's how I would approach it. And then you could paste a bunch of profiles. It would go make those API requests for you, Vanessa, get those profiles. And then it would, and then you'd be able to personalize based on those profiles specifically. This is something that we are also working on the archive side with our API, Vanessa, just to make that easier as well. With so many creators leveraging AI too for content creation, do you optimize Braze for AI, including prompts for brand context, do's and don'ts? I would say that's a good question. What we've started doing, Vanessa, is we'll share the deep research reports that we've had that I shared directly with some of these creators as well, so that they can mine it if they're savvy. And they'll use Claude. At the end of the day, Notion's also pretty easy to copy paste. So as long as the format's good to go, I imagine they're going to use their AI tools, but we haven't created prompts specifically for them or whatnot yet. That's a good idea too. Cool. Mark, appreciate the feedback on AI. It's a lot of fun. Cecilia, you asked streamlining mass communication with influencers. We can definitely think about that as well. But those are the questions we had in the chat. Any other questions? If not, happy to wrap up and hope this was helpful. Cool. Cool. Yeah, no, the live thing is interesting because you have to wait a lot with AI. And so normally I'll have multiple conversations. And you see, you guys have heard of people, hey, like I'm working on 15 agents at the same time, like, these developers that are doing 20 things at once with AI. So what's really happening is they're using AI in ways that take a little bit longer. And while they're waiting on one thing, they go work on the next thing. So that's like really all it is. So for example, if I'm like, hey, spin up 10 sub agents that are going to do a crazy amount of research about all my 10 competitors and come back in 3 hours, right? Like, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but this will go do that. And then I'm kind of stuck here, right? Like, what am I going to do? Wait, you have my brand context, go figure it out. And so then it'll go look for it, blah, blah, blah. And so once that's working, you can go to your next conversation and go back to this one. So that's really all it is. But the interesting thing was for the webinar, wanted to make sure that we don't paralyze too much because otherwise it's hard to follow. But yeah, so it's like if you're just using AI and you're spending most of your time in a one-on-one conversation, then you're not using it enough. You're not assigning enough work to it. So think about that a little bit more, of how you can encourage AI to go further. As you can see here, right? I could have asked, tell me about my competitors, but if I'm like, hey, use 5 sub agents to go do XYZ, it'll literally burn more tokens on that job and give me a more deeper, more thorough answer. Now, hey, sometimes you can waste tokens, is not useful, but if you learn to use the tool just how you delegate to someone on your team, I want you to spend 10 hours on this, not 1 hour. You can start working with AI in that way by giving it feedback once you understand how you prompt it to go do that. So hopefully that's a helpful tip there, Mark. All right, cool. That is it for today. Thank you all for joining. Again, if you guys want to use AI to capture all of your content and build brand context at an even better level and get access to these deep research reports, check out archive.com. You can go to archive.com/demo, and some awesome person on our team will gladly get you some of these reports and show you all about the platform. Thank you for joining, and have a great rest of your Thursday.